time. One day down. And now we start number 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's day 2 of quarantine. Yay, says Flat Stanley. That's a whole nother story into itself. And let's go ask some opinions of other people. Mr. Camel, how are you doing here on the second day of quarantine?
Another question.
Too controversial.
So, after 2 days of quarantine, yes.
2 days down. That means we are
down.
1/7 of the way through.
Yes.
Is that right?
It is. We
Okay.
have 12 more days to go. You all have been amazing asking great questions. So
Yes, you have been.
we wanted to take the time to answer your questions, and we have 8 of them that we will answer, or we might break it up. So
And
we
we
have
love-
8 total questions so far.
And we love your questions because these are oftentimes things that we've thought up ourselves and some things we haven't thought up ourselves, which is very intriguing. You all being a bunch of smart people out there, and we are, in some instances, digging for answers to great questions that you have that we don't even know, and we're faking like we know the answers.
Okay, moving on. So, first question a lot of you have asked is, why are we in quarantine and are we sick? So we are not sick, and we have not had any temperature.
Well, it depends on what your definition of sick is, right?
Correct. Some of us are sick all the time. That's just a perpetual state. But we are not sick. We are in quarantine because, unfortunately, before we returned to China, there was a massive outbreak in Japan and in South Korea. And we have a large population of South Koreans that live in Qingdao. And what happened was, when the outbreak occurred in Seoul and in the south of Korea, there was a large influx of South Koreans who returned to Qingdao. It created panic because in Qingdao there was control over, or they had maintained control over the virus spread here. It was very minimal. So when the South Koreans returned to Qingdao, they were afraid that there would be a reemergence of the virus.
Yeah, and let's don't forget that cruise ship in Japan too. That was pretty messy.
And
There for a
Japan's
while.
worried
Yeah.
because they have the Olympics there this summer.
Oh,
So they're taking
Right.
pretty extreme measures to try and minimize the impact of the virus there. Closing their schools immediately was one of the things that they did
Yep.
to minimize the virus. So in Qingdao, they implemented a couple of weeks ago that anyone returning from outside the country or outside the province would have to undergo a 2-week quarantine. And that quarantine would take place under normal circumstances in your apartment, but under unusual circumstances like returning from Seoul or coming from Japan, you could be placed in a Chinese facility to serve out your time in quarantine.
yeah, there's probably a high likelihood that you may have it, therefore they have to make sure that you don't just like sneak out or
They want to have
break
more
the rules.
controls.
Exactly, because the risk is a lot higher.
So what we were told was, if they found someone on the airplane that had a temperature, the 3 rows in front of that person and the 3 rows behind that person were all quarantined in a special location. The rest of the plane was allowed to go home.
Yeah, so the thing to learn from this is, if you're in an airplane and somebody's sneezing up a storm or looks bad, you need to ask the stewardess if you can sit somewhere else.
Well, it might be too late at that point.
Yeah.
We had to document in our medical form when we left the plane where we were sitting on the aircraft. So the seat number and the seat letter. So
Proximity is important.
yeah. So that is why we're in quarantine, but we are healthy and fine. So what are the rules of quarantine was another question everyone asked. And there are a few, and they're very simple. The first one is that we are not allowed to leave our apartment for 14 days.
And may I add, you can leave, but nobody can see you leave, okay? No,
Like I said, we are not allowed to leave the apartment for 14 days.
Said that.
And we have not left the apartment for 2 days. Just want to make sure that's on film.
You keep telling them that, sweetie.
The other thing that we have to do is twice a day at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, we have to take our temperature, and we have to report that temperature to 3 groups. We have to report it to our school. Our school has a WeChat group, which is a messaging group that's a Chinese app. And that group is all of the teachers that are currently in quarantine and our HR representatives that are looking over us. The second group is our community needs to know what our temperatures are. And then the third group is because my lovely husband's temperature was raised because of wearing plastic bags for an hour.
Hopefully you saw the episode before this one, how to build your own hazmat suit.
And
very good skill to have.
Raise your temperature when they're coming to take your temperature.
Whoops.
So because Brown tested above 37 degrees Celsius for 2 of his tests, we now have an assigned civil servant from our little area called Laoshan.
I feel special. We didn't even have to pay extra for them, did we?
No, but she calls me every day, not you.
Yeah.
And I have a conversation with her.
It's the only one who makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she called us the first day after Brown had the 2 high temperature tests, and she wanted to move Brown to a hospital. And so we said no, we declined that offer. We weren't sure if it was an offer or not, but we took it as an offer and we said, no, we will stay here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your free medical care offer, but we're going to pass.
But if Brown continues to be a pain in the neck. So if Brown
what are you saying?
If my husband misbehaves over the next 2 weeks,
you're gonna turn me in?
I will start to present temperatures that are a lot higher. The first day we had to take a photo of the thermometer to show evidence. Now we don't have to take a photo. So the question people are asking is, can't you lie? Yes, of course you can lie. Yes, you can mislead, but to what end? If we're sick, we're going to tell them and get the help that we need. If we're not sick, then it doesn't really matter what our temperature is. So.
Oh, do you want to, just to interrupt a little bit, do you want to tell them what your good idea was to avoid quarantine in your apartment? So you may think I'm the sick one of the hair, but wait till
we were brainstorming ways to get out of quarantine and get a little fresh air. And so one of the ideas I had was to light a fire. Or create
set your apartment on fire.
Well, something on fire, and create a lot of smoke so that we were evacuated. That would get us fresh air.
Just so you'll all know what you're dealing with now.
The arsonist.
Some of you already know, but some of you who don't know are.
I'm sure it's a crime in China.
And we're just kidding.
But so is sneaking out.
Yeah.
Okay, so the third thing that we have to do is we have to leave our trash outside the apartment every day at 10 a.m. and at 3 p.m. Although we haven't had trash to leave out there yet. But if we want them to take our trash, they will come and pick it up at 10 a.m. or 3 p.m. So those are the rules.
Does that apply to trash talking? Can I stick my head out and give them some trash?
I might have to just put my husband in a plastic bag again and put him outside the door.
And tell me to go run a mile and then get my temperature checked?
Yes. So, the question...
One nice thing about this during the wintertime is you don't have to go out in the cold weather.
To take out the trash.
So, quarantine is good, right? Yeah.
Feeling very lazy.
Feeling very lazy, okay. So, show us your technique. Oh, this is kind of exercise also, isn't it? Are you preparing for the upcoming China Olympics?
Yes.
Is this gymnastics or the weightlifting?
Both, actually. I can tell that they're preparing to come and pick up our trash because the overwhelming wafting smell of bleach is coming through, seeping through the door. I think they have washed our entire door.
Let's see it.
With bleach.
Let's check it out.
Let's see.
Man, it smells so strong of bleach.
It's crazy. Oh yeah, look at that. The floor is completely soaking wet.
Man, it's clean. It's the backside. Oh, wow. Look at how wet the floor is.
They've sprayed our entire door. You see that they've sprayed our door. Oh my God.
Another great thing about quarantine is China's never been cleaner.
And never smelled better.
Never smelled better. By the way, this is unexpected. Quarantine, you just kind of let everything go. I haven't had a haircut in, I don't know, 3 months. And so check out the bed head.
The question is, why did a hazmat person come? Why did hazmat Yeti come to our door to take our temperature on the first day? And that is just standard protocol. The first day, everyone gets visited in the morning to get their temperature taken. As long as your temperature is acceptable, then they allow you to continue the self-checks throughout the rest of your quarantine.
And we know that we need to be really respectful and nice to these people, because you may not realize this, but they put these things on for a 10-hour shift at the beginning of the day and do not take them off the entire day to go to the bathroom or anything until they're done, because doing that would risk possibly contamination. So they get our utmost respect.
Yeah, and many of you mentioned, and thank you for mentioning it, how upbeat and kind and respectful we were of the people that work with us. We were so amazed at the kindness and compassion of the Chinese that were assigned in many cases to work with us. The interpreter that we had at the airport actually is a professional interpreter for
the area government.
For the area government. For high officials that come and visit our neighboring city, and he was repositioned to translate at an airport for incoming passengers who speak English. And he was so incredibly kind and so friendly and warm.
Everybody has been.
Everyone has been. Even though they've been repurposed, they've accepted it, and they work with joy. So that's one of the greatest things about the Chinese people.
Yeah, in these videos, when you see them all dressed up and they're working, there's a layer of seriousness there, because there has to be. It's a serious subject. Things, they have to be detailed, they have to be thorough, but the people that are doing this are great. We love the Chinese people, don't we?
Yeah. Another question that you all had was, so how do they know if we've left our apartment? Well, first of all, we are the only Westerners that live in this complex.
Yes.
So, and we're the only ones that are over 6 feet tall.
Yes.
So it's not as if we could disguise ourselves and sneak out as much as we would like to.
And I think they probably have a way of communicating with everybody in the group.
In the community.
In the community, and they may even have our pictures. We don't know, because here in China, there's a opacity to things if you're not Chinese.
Wow. Opacity.
Oh, you like that?
Is that a right word? Is that the right word?
Man, I think so. Right? You're impressed, aren't you?
Opacity?
Yeah.
I don't know. I need to look it up.
Are you making fun of me? Okay. Put down in the comments how Eileen should be punished for making fun of me.
Okay, so what were you saying?
Oh,
if we leave our apartment.
Okay.
So they do, I'm sure in the community, they have a WeChat group where they can communicate that we are here and that we are quarantined. And I'm sure that that everyone has been told to take additional precautions until we are out of the 2-week quarantine period.
And they take it really serious, not just because it's us and we're coming from out of the country, but look at it this way. They've all had to do it. Okay, so this is something that's your duty if you're living here. No one is, there's no exceptions. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to let anybody off the hook because they actually had to do it themselves.
Additionally, there are cameras everywhere, and facial recognition is alive and well, and we get videotaped every single time, at every step of coming back to the house. Even in our temperature testing, they were videotaping it and taking photographs. So our face has been documented over and over again at 2 airports and at our apartment building, so we just wouldn't take the chance of leaving the apartment.
Well, no, because
And it's for the betterment of the
repercussions of our misbehavior per se would be them canceling our work visa, us losing our job.
Yeah, or worse, if we have the virus and it's dormant, we could really hurt some other people, and we don't want to do that. So that's the biggest reason. There are repercussions to us personally. Yeah. But really, we just don't mess around. No, and for the betterment of all people, we want to cooperate so that the virus is extinct and doesn't continue to spread. Wow, the betterment of all people. Are you running for politics? Huh? Yeah, me, full of so much tact. Wow. Another question that you have, which is a great question, is how do we get groceries? And we also get water delivery too. So we don't drink the water here in China. So everything is that we drink is out of a bottle. We get the big, massive jugs delivered to us. So how does that happen during quarantine? Well, the process is actually quite simple. Yeah. First of all, we have 2 stores that we work with that the owners are able to communicate in English, and they're fantastic. One is called the woman is called Lotus, the other one is called Sunny. And Lotus and Sunny have really high quality products, which is wonderful, and we can get anything from them that we need. The process is basically we get on WeChat, which is this app, this communication app, and we send a message, and I'll say, Lotus, do you have strawberries, or what fruit do you have, what greens do you have, or this is what I would like. I'd like onions, red bell peppers, etc. I put a list together and I'll send it to her. Then she'll respond and say, I have this, I don't have this. After we decide on how much the bill is, then what we do is in WeChat, there's a function, a transfer funds function, and we can send the money directly to them, and immediately they accept it, and at that point then the delivery occurs. With Lotus, we get deliveries from her in the evening at 5 o'clock at night, usually around that time. From Sunny, we can get deliveries any time of day, which is fantastic if we want something. At this point, because we're in quarantine and cannot leave the house, the deliveries normally are dropped off at our front door, but because of the special situation, deliveries now are sent to the front guard, the guard gate, and the guard or someone at the guard house will carry up the groceries or bottle of water to our front door, which is really nice of them and above and beyond from their normal. Don't they spray them with bleach or disinfected or not? Yes, when I pick up all the groceries that come in outside, they're soaking wet and the floor is soaking wet. I think the person who delivers them, because he knocks and then runs, the person who delivers them carries a spray bottle and sprays them down with bleach before they hand them to us. So, or put them outside the door, and then they run. So it's a little bit like ring and run, but at least they leave the product there. Ding dong dash. Ding dong dash. But it's a good ding dong dash. Another question that you have for us is, do we know anyone with the virus? No, we don't know anyone, not in our community, and not even the extensive friendships that we've made across China. We don't know anyone who has the virus or has had the virus. And another question you have is, when is it projected that the virus will be under control? From what we're hearing, what we heard at the airport, from what we are hearing from the civil servant from Laoshan district, going by the estimate that has been made by a famous virologist called Dr. Zhang, and he has estimated that the current restrictions that are in place, the quarantines, the carefulness about what you do, the social this information's gone viral, hasn't it? No. The social separation, all of that will have to continue until the end of April. That's their best projection. Whether that's the case and that happens, we don't know. But it seems legitimate because schools can't really start if anyone coming into the district has to be quarantined. Yeah. Our school started today with the admin staff returning, and that's going to happen now until the teachers are called back. But we don't anticipate students returning for a long time. Many of our students live outside of our province and outside of our city. And if they now have this massive influx of students into the province, I think there would be huge concerns, especially with quarantines and living in dormitories and things like that. So we don't anticipate this ending anytime soon. Although we're really pleased that in this district, it seems like that we have not had new cases of the virus. They've said in 2 weeks, so that's good news for us. Those are all the questions you've asked so far. Maybe some of the things we've talked about now have created new questions that you have for us. We would be happy to answer anything for you, and welcome any questions or ideas you might have for us.
And in addition, thank you, sweetie. In addition, we are going to be doing a short video for each day in quarantine. So, of course, we have a few of them planned out, but we need your help. If you could please give us some comments as to the things that you would like to see us do. We can roll around, do funny tricks. We can also, any theme for the day that you would like to see. We're all ears. Let's have some fun with this.
We are working Monday to Friday, normal hours, so it has to be outside of the work hours, but we're happy to comply if we can. And the weekends are free game.
Makes me say, well, we've never been busier, have we? Been in quarantine.
It's been a really busy quarantine.
We've had so much stuff to do. We're thankful that we're quarantined. Oh, was I supposed to say that?
No.
Maybe give us another week or two?
I'm not. You know, my friend Medi, shout out to Medi, she did say it would be a dream to be quarantined with my husband for 2 weeks. And that is very true, and it's very sweet. And she's right. To have the time together, being in the same place for 2 weeks. is a gift, especially in cases where you don't work with your spouse and you don't get to see them very often, or they travel. Having the time for us to be together is a real gift. So thanks to Medi for giving us new perspective.
Yes.
Also, for our friends, many of our friends are going through quarantine alone. Either their spouse is not with them or they're single. And I couldn't imagine how difficult it would be to go through quarantine by myself. Although some moments I wish I was by myself.
Can you
I'm
believe
just
that?
kidding. Just kidding. As you know, life with Brown is a lot of fun. So it would not be any fun if he was not here. Anything else?
Good answer, sweetie.
Nah. Anything else?
That's it. Y'all, we really appreciate you.
Thank you for helping us for our subscriptions.
Yep.
We're at 290, which is wonderful right at the moment. So we're trying to get above 500.
Yes.
So please help us. Pass our videos around.
Yes, please do. Make sure you're subscribed and also hit the like button.
And ring the bell, because if you ring the bell, then you get notifications when our new videos come out, and you don't have to depend upon social media to see that a video has posted. So ring that bell. Don't sing the song.
That's all, folks.
That's it. And that wraps up day number 2 in quarantine. A perfect way to end our day is with you.
Yep.
So we will see you tomorrow.
We appreciate you guys, and trust
Thank
me,
you.
we're not going anywhere.